Looks a bit plasticky. Ha. Okay.
Well, here we are, the biggest and best amusement park there will ever be.
Ah,
And
okay.
we've got a golden
That explains
ticket.
it.
Hey, fun.
A golden ticket, you say?
Have they gone?
The Mad Hatter.
Uniforms give me the heebie-jeebies.
Also, you know,
They can't
Charlie and the
stop
Chocolate
being here,
Factory.
but they don't like it.
Ha ha! You see? I told you it was amazing. Well, it used to be.
It closed down. Wish I'd known that before I landed here.
We defeated them all 1,000 years ago, but now he's back to destroy. Behold, the enemy.
Whoa! Get down!
That might be like a animatronic, right? But yeah, Cybermen. It's been a minute. It's been a minute. Neil Gaming. Okay.
Well, let's see, hey? Low tech. It's a puppet monofilament strings, which means the brains are in.
Hey, look who it is.
On the brains.
Hello. Give us a hand. Don't wander off. Sweet dreams.
That's exactly the thing they're going to do, right?
Better than no sandwich, of course. Not as good as 2 sandwiches.
Oh, it's gonna move.
Or even a chicken.
Oh shit.
That's a bit odd. Give me my hands back.
Oh no, he's getting infected.
I hate the future.
Sometimes we fought to a draw, but then they'd upgrade themselves, fix the weaknesses, and destroy us.
Wow.
It's hard to fight an enemy that uses your armies as spare parts.
You beat
Sure.
them, though. Beat them or you wouldn't be here. How?
Hello, I'm bored.
Where's your big sister?
Clara. She's not my sister. She's stupid.
Hey.
She's talking to Porridge.
She talks to her porridge.
Porridge? That little bloke?
We need to have a chat.
Interesting. Looks like it's out of a Del Toro film. A lot of the creature design. Or Neil Gaiman's mind. Jump scare.
She always has to turn up and spoil everything. I wasn't doing anything. Why can't you just leave me alone?
Whoa, attitude? I mean, she's at that age, but still.
Attack formation!
Whoa! Bro, you're not gonna take on a Cyberman in hand-to-hand combat. He's made of steel. Whoa. Look at this.
Natty Longshoe's comical castle.
Real castle? Drawbridge? Moat?
Yes, but comical.
We'll go there.
Those children are under my protection. I'm coming to get them.
Don't get too close now.
Little metal machine. You are beautiful.
We needed children, but the children had stopped coming. You brought us children.
Hail to you, the Doctor, savior of the Cybermen.
Wow, how about that?
But we no longer need the children. The Cybermites have been scanning your brain, Doctor.
Oh
It's
no.
quite remarkable.
Also
Oh,
completely
no.
useless to you. Cybermen use human parts. I'm not human.
Well, that was true a long time ago, but we've upgraded ourselves. Current cyber units use almost any living components.
Oh no. Oh, it's happening. Look at this.
Incorporated, yes. Oh, amazing.
It's kind of like.
Get out of my head! Stop rummaging in my mind!
Whoa.
Just you try and stop me. Ooh. Who's Clara? Why are you thinking about
Oh, I
her
love
so
this.
much? Enough! Fascinating, a complete mental block, highly effective. Relax, relax.
Complete
If you
mental
just relax,
block.
you will find there's information on the Time Lords in here. Right. I'm allowing you access to memories on Time Lord regeneration.
Oh.
Fantastic! The rules of chess are in my memory banks. You're proposing we play chess to ends.
Look at the lighting here.
Winner takes all. Nobody can access that portion of the brain without winning the game.
These things are hand pulsers. Touch the back of the Cyberman's head, the electromagnetic pulse deactivates it.
What's this for?
That might come in handy.
Just a mad guess here. It blows up the planet.
Implodes it. There's
Oh.
also a trigger unit.
I'll have that then.
Mind if I take one of these? Might be handy.
Ah!
Help yourself. I'll teach you how to use it. Upstairs. Now.
Doctor, why is there no record of you anywhere in the databanks of the Siberiad?
About that.
You're good.
Just the helmet. It's tricking you. Jeez. Look at this. Stealth Cybermen, or the approach.
What's going on?
A bit of a good news, bad news, good news again thing going on. So,
Oh.
Please tell me you can wake them up.
hope so.
Other good news.
Well, in other good news, there are a few more repaired and reactivated Cybermen on the way, and the Cyber Planner's installing a patch for the gold thing. Wait, that isn't good news.
You got it mixed up.
Doctor?
Afraid not. I'm working the mouth now. Allons-y.
Ah!
You should see the state of these neurons. He's had some cowboys in here, 10 complete rejigs. But I know who you are. You're the impossible girl.
Whoa.
Oh, he's very interested in you.
Why am I impossible?
Hasn't he told you, the sly devil? Oh, dear me. Now, if you don't mind, I have a chess game to
Hey.
finish,
Oh.
and you have to die pointlessly and very far from home.
Whoa. I'm loving this drip feed here through this side of the Doctor.
Fry anything alive that entered the water.
Can Cybermen fly?
No, Mum.
First good news of the day. Do it.
She really quite excels in this role. Screen presence, authority, she sells it. Oh no. Oh no. Jeez.
Now, tell me, does it happen possibly to have a sort of remote triggery thing? Brilliant. Pass it here.
No.
No.
In case you're not you right now. Or even if you are. Just in case.
Oh, don't worry.
Prove you're you. Tell me something only the Doctor knows.
The truth is, I'm starting to like you in a way that is more than just... Oh! Ow! Ow!
There he is.
Ow! Yes!
Hey, that looks pretty good. They'll figure something out.
Brilliant.
Actually kind of reminds me of The Long Night.
Upgrade in progress.
Wow. It's like that typical casting, right? They get the one guy who's a bit chubby in the platoon.
Can't you see what a foolish move that was? You've lost the game! Kids, back
Now.
now!
Go on then. Ah, it took too long.
3 moves. You wanna know what they are? You're lying. No. Move 3, amplify pulsar.
And then get yourself.
See ya. Hello. Could somebody untie me, please?
Do you think I'm pretty?
No, you're too short and bossy and your nose is all funny.
Good enough.
Hey, she's got a cute nose.
I think you should ask Porridge.
Why?
Well, he is the Emperor. I bet he knows the activation codes. Oh, come on. It's obvious. He looks exactly like he does on the coin and on the waxwork, except they made him a bit taller.
It'll blow in about 80 seconds, easily long enough for the Imperial flagship to locate me from my identification. Warp jump into orbit and transmat us to the stateroom.
There you go.
Nice ship. Not blue enough. Listen,
No,
there's a large blue box at coordinate 6 Ultra 19P.
You know, it was good to get away. Good to be a person. Good not to be lonely or Emperor of 1,000 galaxies with everyone waiting for me to tell them what to do. That's what happens when you're Emperor. Loneliest job in the universe.
You don't have to be lonely.
I don't. Clara,
Marry me?
will you marry me?
Ah!
What?
You're smart, and you're beautiful, and I've never met anyone like you before. And being Emperor won't be as hard if you're by my side.
Now, if you want my advice...
You, not one word. This is between me and the Emperor. Porridge,
We'll get a kiss out of it on the cheek.
I don't want to rule 1,000 galaxies.
I don't blame you, man. I don't blame you. Yeah.
Thank you, Doctor.
For what?
Kids, stay out. Getting us off the planet alive, whatever you're doing with the Cybermen. Good night.
Impossible girl.
Yeah.
mystery wrapped in an enigma squeezed into a skirt that's just a little bit too tight. What are you?
Oh, yes. Whoa. Okay, the penultimate episode of Series 7. Yeah, I mean, it ends up being a standalone, just like a one-shot. Really quite similar to Series 6, right? It's just that I'm so used to like a two-part finale. Sometimes, even the third last episode kind of leads into the two-parter. But yeah, I suppose I should kind of change my perspective on that now, because I've seen it twice back to back, Series 6 and Series 7. Though, that being said, there's a few plot threads that do kind of apply or are applicable to, the story as a whole down the line, perhaps. This concept of this doctor-sized hole in the universe, that's essentially the opposite end of that, right? Erasing himself from history. Now there's this problem, and you see his reaction. He's like, yeah, I'll look into it. So yeah, that certainly applies to the series as a whole, right? The story as a whole. And then of course, there's a few really great moments kind of hinting at Clara, right? Through one of the standout moments of this episode, Matt Smith, right? I mean, Matt Smith is acting his ass off in this one for sure, right? I mean, I'm not going to say it's his best performance, like, of all time, right? As his run as Doctor Who or his run as the Doctor. But it's really quite enjoyable. I mean, it really kind of carries a lot of the episode itself. And you see at points he hams it up as well, right? But it's enjoyable. It really is quite enjoyable. But that's to be expected of Matt Smith at this point, right? He's so good. He's just so fantastic. And I really, really quite enjoyed that side of him. The cyber planner, right? That was a neat and interesting character to have for one episode, right? To see the Doctor, to see Matt Smith take on that portrayal. Of course, I love the presentation. You can see through some of the lighting choices as they are kind of inside the mind of the Doctor, right? This internal struggle and kind of wrestling, tug of war inside his mind. I thought that aspect of it is really quite fantastic. I enjoyed that. But through that you see that this cyber planner persona kind of leaks some of this information to us, the audience, right? He's like, come, let me give you a little something, right? So I love that aspect of it. So the first thing that is mentioned by the planner, the cyber planner, is this high-level mental block, a complete mental block, highly effective. Now, is that something that is some new information for us in relation to Clara, right? Is he kind of expositing the situation, right? That, the Doctor has kind of figured out that much, but now through this, persona that is kind of struggling to take over, it kind of leaks out to us. But yeah, I'm not 100% sure if that is meant to be in reference to Clara, this complete mental block that is meant to be highly effective. It sounds like it's meant to be describing Clara and a part of her situation, right? But that being said, by the end of this episode, Clara does have some more information that she was able to kind of get out of the other persona, right? This whole aspect of the impossible girl. She even asked the cyber planner about it, right? So that's out in the open now. So actually, she straight up even asked the Doctor once he does kind of switch over, and he kind of brushes it off and tells her, yeah, I'll tell you about it later. I'll explain later. So I'm expecting that in the next episode. Her bringing that up again, her confronting the Doctor about that. I mean, the finale is up next, so I am expecting something quite substantial in terms of Clara, and that really mysterious nature of this character, being able to exist in this manner, right? Echoes through time, through eternity. So yeah, let's see. I'm excited. But I must admit, it's coming out of this episode, it's a bit of a bummer. I'm not like it's a penultimate episode, and I'm not going into the finale. On one end, yes, I'm excited to find out about Clara, right? And there's a good chance I am going to get something quite concrete, given that it is the finale. But I've got to say, this episode, it's a Neil Gaiman episode, and it felt kind of flat, to be honest. It felt kind of disjointed. It's certainly ambitious. And you see Neil Gaiman's style present throughout, but I don't know, at times it felt like a bit of a mess. And I'm so perplexed about that. The moment I saw his name pop up in the intro, I was like, oh, okay, perhaps I'm about to get another contender for, one of the all-time greats. Because his past episode, his first episode, that's certainly one of my favorites, right? Easily top 20, top 15. It's an all-timer. It is. But it became really clear really early on, actually, that this is not even comparable to that episode, right? I was getting ready to, have these like back and forth discussion points about, oh, is this the better episode, or is this going to end up being the better episode? Again, that's also on me, though. Can you blame me? The moment you see Neil Gaiman in that title card, in that opening, the expectations are through the roof, right? Especially given the last episode. It was a knockout episode. I love that episode, but no, I can't say the same for this. I can't, unfortunately. I mentioned it feeling kind of disjointed, kind of a mess at times, and it felt like that because it is ambitious. There is a lot of stuff in there, a lot of ideas in there, but I feel like there's not enough time. There just wasn't enough time for this in this 42 minutes, maybe 43, 44 minutes. So I don't know. Listen, I've got to admit, maybe you might think I'm terrible for saying this, but the kids, now let's be fair, mostly Angie, I could not stand that character. And I knew it, the moment I saw that ending in the last episode, I was like, I was really kind of on the fence about that prospect. Unfortunately, yeah, it ended up being this really annoying, addition to this. Ultimately, I don't even think it really does much for the story. And I don't know, Angie, that character, I get it that she's at that age, but the animosity that she had for Clara, it's kind of tough to buy it because, I just don't know enough about Angie. It's just like this really almost inconsequential side character that is attached to, Clara being this nanny throughout time, I don't know. It was a little bit unbearable, to be honest. Stranger Things. Let me give you an example. Stranger Things, the focus, the main cast is all children, right? Now listen, I'm not saying they are unbearable. Maybe at times, characters like Steve Harrington earlier on is really quite unbearable, and that's by design, right? Because it was leaning into a lot of stereotypes. But he becomes bearable a bit later. And I've only seen the first season of Stranger Things, but that kind of, reiterates my point. I really find it difficult to attach myself to any story that is focusing mainly on child actors, or the main focus happens to be children. I don't know. I've just never been able to, really dive into that or really immerse myself into that story. I'm not sure if that's a common thing. Maybe some of you have the same preference, but it's not as if I have some kind of animosity towards children. I don't. It's just that I find it difficult to immerse myself into stories that are focused mainly on children. I don't know. But yeah, Stranger Things, it's one of the most popular shows out there. I think it is the most popular show on Netflix, by far, I think. But I've never really had the urge to continue, past season one. And, I'm not saying season one was terrible or anything. Season one was actually enjoyable. It was. But going back to Doctor Who, yeah, unfortunately, this edition, this one episode edition, thankfully, didn't really pan out, for me at least. Though, you see around the midpoint, actually even earlier than the midpoint, they do kind of sidetrack them, right? They have no role. Then, of course, later on, Angie mellows out a bit. Clara, here's the thing about Clara in this episode. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed her performance. I enjoyed the role she takes on. And, she certainly has this flair for command. You see the assertive authoritative Clara in this one, right? Grabbing things by the scruff of the neck, taking control of the situation. I mean, it was really quite reminiscent of the other two Claras I've seen, right? The other two iterations of Clara. Yeah. But, the thing is, a part of that felt a bit off because, much more recently, I've seen more of a different side of Clara, right? This Clara, that is. If you go back to episodes like Hyde and Cold War, it's a different Clara, right? Really different Clara in comparison to this one. Even the last episode, and I've got to say, I did not think I would say this after, knowing that this is a Neil Gaiman episode, but I prefer the Crimson Horror, the last episode, to this episode, right? Yeah, I was really quite baffled as the episode's kind of playing out. I was like, hold on, I'm pretty sure I read that this is a Neil Gaiman episode in that opening card. And listen, I'm not saying this is like the most terrible episode ever. It's not. But, for a Neil Gaiman episode, it was a little bit concerning, so much so that it does feel like maybe there is more than meets the eye, for me at least. So again, I'll kind of hand it over to you guys. And if there is something in terms of maybe behind the scenes or something, you'll have to let me know. Because it certainly didn't feel right. And of course, let's not forget about the Cybermen. It is a return for the Cybermen. For the Cybermen, it's usually kind of hit and miss since I have been introduced to them. But here, it did feel like a credible, serious threat. It did, right? I thought there's actually a lot of cool things that are being done here. In terms of the presentation now, in terms of kind of the history of the Cybermen and the presentation and who the Cybermen are, right? Historically, perhaps. It'll be interesting to see how many of you kind of see this, right? So let me know in the comments, especially perhaps maybe some of the classic Doctor Who fans as well, though a lot of you are. It feels like everyone who comes to check these out usually is a classic Doctor Who fan as well, or they have checked out, or you have checked out classic Who as well, after seeing the reboot or the soft reboot. But yeah, Cybermen, there's a lot of cool moments, that whole stealth aspect to it. You don't really associate that approach with the Cybermen, right? I thought it was really an effective new direction to take. And, there's a really cool sequence, right? Speed and slow motion kind of combined together to give us this really standout moment. To see a Cyberman, moving like that, it's a jarring sight. It really is. And of course, one of the standouts is the guest actor, right? The Emperor, Porridge. Listen, I know who he is. I just cannot remember the name. For some reason, I just cannot clock the name at the moment. I've seen him in a bunch of different things. I mean, all of us have seen him. I actually think he brought a bit of gravitas to that character. It's an impactful character in this specific story, right? And that whole concept of the lonely emperor, right? It's lonely at the top. All that immense pressure that you're under at all times. Sometimes you just want to give it all up, right? You just want to be normal, to be out there as a normal person. Now, this whole thing about him kind of ultimately setting it off anyways, and it all just ends perfectly, essentially. Yes, I suppose he could have done it earlier, right? But I suppose also he was hesitating because he knew once he does it, he has to go back to that lifestyle, right? He knows, sooner or later he has to return. But I suppose he was trying to hold out as long as possible. Unless, of course, I'm kind of missing something here and he wasn't able to do it earlier. Again, please let me know. Please let me know. Oh, and then, to circle back to the other thing that the Cyber Planner, the other persona of the Doctor, said to Clara, you have to die pointlessly far from home. And also, lastly, speaking of Clara, how about that ending? It felt like it was kind of out of character for the Doctor, right? To be noticing that really tight skirt. I think the comment was that impossibly tight skirt, or the skirt that's just a tad bit too tight, right? So, he's been looking, though, of course, just now he does kind of see her, walk out of the TARDIS. So I suppose he noticed the skirt just now. Don't get me wrong, I got a chuckle out of that, but it also at the same time felt a bit out of character for the Doctor to be kind of, saying that or even thinking of that, I could tell that a lot of people might not have liked that approach to give Matt Smith or to give the Doctor that line of dialogue at that moment. But yeah, that's The Impossible Girl. And hopefully I'll get something substantial in the finale, and hopefully it's a step up. You know, I've got to say, it's been hit and miss. It's been hit and miss, you know, the second half. Even the first half was kind of hit and miss, right before the departure of Amy and Rory. You know, I'll get like a bit of a, I don't know, a bit of a dud. Then I'll get a good episode, and there's a few great episodes in there as well. But it's just a mixed bag, Series 7. Even here, there's actually a few standouts, I think. Of course, you know, the Snowman. It starts off at the highest. I mean, it sets the bar so high, right? Since then, it hasn't really reached it, has it? But yeah, just the one numbered episode left for Series 7, episode 13. Yeah, but then of course there's a few specials, you know, some really highly anticipated specials as well. Right then, so if you enjoyed that, consider dropping a like, consider dropping some comments, give me your thoughts. If you are interested in early access, perhaps full length, for any of these episodes and any of the upcoming specials, consider checking out the Patreon page. The links are in the description and the pinned comment. Also links to social media, if that's your thing. Right then, thank you so much for joining me, and thank you for your time, because time is precious. It really is. And I do hope to see you again soon for the finale. Until then, take it easy.